Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Trade Stock. I got a special guest in the studio today. Excited to jump in and talk all things landscaping, snow plowing, social media, and building a brand. Brian Fullerton, welcome to Trade Stock, my man. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, excited to be here, brother. This is going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, I was on Brian's podcast just recently in Scottsdale, Arizona. We were at that Leanscaper event, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, talk about a beautiful area, beautiful part of the country, and only more beautiful by the folks that we were surrounded with. That was some high cotton for sure. Some great leaders in the industry there.
Yeah, what a show. And so I want to just dive into this because I am so honored to have you on the show. I've been following you, and we've been talking for at least a year now. So some of our guests probably know about you. Can you give us a little overview of what you do you have multiple companies, right? You've got Brian's Lawn Maintenance, you got Launchpreneur Academy, you're up in all these places, Equip, you're pushing the show, pushing the brand. And I think it's just amazing what you're doing for the industry. So how did you originally get started in the landscape industry? I think that's like the first place I'd love to start.
Well, I'll take you all the way back to when I was 10 years old, and I'll keep it short because when folks tell their story, it ends up being 20 minutes. You know how it goes. But
yeah.
Honestly, folks, like probably just like so many of you listening in, just neighborhood kid, single mom, parents were divorced. And so I was like 10 years old living in my mom's trailer park, two brothers, older and a younger. So I'm the middle. I always say that's why I twitch. And one day I just remember there was a neighborhood guy cutting the lawns, and he had like the 48-inch walk behind big mower. And I was just fascinated, dude. I was a kid plastered on the window. Probably like, basketball shorts back in there was like and one, and probably not wearing a t-shirt, just a little kid running around the house. But dude, I was staring out the window, little bay window plastered, watching this guy mow. And my mom would pay him, a check or cash and, $15 or whatever it was. And I'm like, money? I sort of learned like everything in life starts to be governed by money at that age. And so I'm like, you pay him to cut grass? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, well, I like being outside. And I just know whatever it was. I remember cutting my mom's lawn, and she gave me the $10 check or cash or put it in the account or whatever. And I was like, dude, this is fun. And at the time, I was just like fixated on fireworks. I know it sounds like kind of dorky, but like, no, dude, like it's funny. Equip Expo like 2 years ago did a huge firework opening for their Tuesday opening ceremony. And we took the truck down. My wife was in the back. My daughter at the time was like 2. She was sitting on my shoulders, and the fireworks were blasting. We're in this like off parking lot because we couldn't find parking for the big trucks. And like, I was just crying, dude. And I'm like, this is so like ridiculously sappy and for real and surreal. But at that time, I just wanted to buy, $100, $200 worth of fireworks. And, that was it. Like, it wasn't any grand scheme or dream. I'm 10 years old. It's not like we had YouTube or anything. And I just started cutting grass, doing the deal, rolling around my little mower through the giant trailer park. It was like 650 lots, so it's a pretty large trailer park.
Yeah.
Locally, a lot of people know of it. And dude, we had like no money, no anything, no knowledge. Dude, I can't even believe people let me cut their lawn. I was like 10 years old. It was probably like, cheap slave labor over here, And nobody thought twice about it because they're like, hey, that's a hell of a deal. And that just kind of turned from like 1 lawn to 2 to 10. And I remember being like 12, 13, 14 years old though, and getting like 20 lawns at like 10 or $15 a cut. And I was making like $300 cash money on a Saturday, dude. And it was pretty exciting. Like, I'm not going to lie. I remember buying fireworks. I bought my little first go-kart for $1,000
nice.
Back in the day.
Sounds like we were interested in the same stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So you get it. And do like nothing crazy, but just trying to have a couple nickels in my pocket. And at the time in the early 90s, right, I'm an 80s baby, but 90s kid, Subway came on the scene, and there was a Subway about like 3 miles down the road. And it was here with like dirt roads in the Midwest and backcountry. So it was just like far enough into town. My mom would let me ride my bike. My brothers and I would get out of school, go get Subway, $5 footlongs. And it was like the jam. I was like, dude, we're rich. Like, we're eating footlongs, and dude, we were such dorks, and riding our little like Schwinn bike or Mongoose bikes, and like that was that was it, dude. So what happened was 15 or 16 years old though, I remember my mom saying like, hey, cutting grass is cool, but like you have to get a real job. Like you're 16, you want to get a car. I sold a go-kart for a down payment on my little Hyundai. Um, that thing was a chariot for sure. And I remember working at the closest place that I could ride my bike to before I had my car. I actually worked for a year riding my bike like 3 miles to work, uphill in the snow both ways, like one of those deals,
Yep.
right? And I remember like it was yesterday. I walk in, $6.74 an hour. I'm a crew member. I get my biweekly paycheck or whatever it was. And after taxes and all this crap, and I had to punch out for like a half-hour shift because of labor laws, on a 4-hour shift, unpaid, obviously. So I'm just like, well, this is a scam, And I think my paycheck was like $110 take home, and I'm like, I was making $300 cash money, like not even a year before. Like, what happened? And so anyway, I've always been pretty ambitious. So if I was going to do it, I wanted to do it bigger, and I'll hit the fast forward button. In like a 3-year time, went from I went from crew member to shift to co-manager, then co-manager to store manager. So I was 18, running $1 million business. It was a franchise. The growth curve on that was crazy. Like I'm learning about P&Ls and net profit and franchising and branding. Yeah, like crazy stuff. And it was a great time, but I realized like there's a whole nother story there, but I was making like 40, 45 grand a year. I actually got fired from that job, and that turned my world upside down. There's a whole another story there, but now I'm 2021. All my friends are like getting out of college. Now I'm like the old dude, peer group that I can't start college because I'm 21. I have no education, and I was like very scared. I didn't know what to do. So I went to monster.com and saw a route manager for some company called True Green. I didn't know what they did or who they were. And long story short, worked at True Green for a year and a half. And what got me back into lawn care was making like $11 an hour, full PPE, rubber boots, rubber gloves, driving an Isuzu. Service Master is all about the profit, so they didn't put air conditioning in those trucks. You're crazy. And so I'm sweating out, dude, on 90-degree days, spraying fur. And I talked about this in my book, 0 to 100K. I had this, what I call my no homo Baywatch moment. And so there was these two dudes, and I'll never forget this. They were across the street. I was about to hit my PTO switch on my pump. These guys come over, drop the gate. They're in shorts and a t-shirt and running shoes, drinking a Gatorade, going slow-mo for any of my Baywatch people. A little bit different scene. And they're cutting lawns and doing the deal and like cut, trim, blow, edge. And I'm like, I'm about to make $11 an hour here, covered in fur, hose reels, cutting off and smacking you with fur in the face on a 90-degree day. And now you're all sticky. And I'm like, dude, literally, I'm like, what am I doing with my life? And I don't know if it was a week or a month later, but I said, I'm going to start cutting grass again like I did as a kid. And basically, I don't know if it was a week or a month later, but I went and bought an X-Mark mower. My brother's Dodge Durango was left at home because he was a freshman on campus at Michigan State. I bought a little tractor supply utility trailer. I had to buy a hidden hitch, underneath in carriage and like bolt it to the thing. And again, we lived on dirt roads, so I got like rust, dirt, in my eyes. The craziest stuff, dude. Like it is not like what we're doing and living today. I'll tell you that. Like I have sweat equity to this thing to a first down. And that was it, dude. Like I started cutting grass. I called all my old customers. I started making, a couple extra $100 on the weekends, doing both jobs. And then the big thing that transitioned was that following spring, my boss, we came back for spray training. He's like, hey, it's kind of curious to see you here. And I'm like, yeah, Kevin, like I'm coming back. What's up? And he goes, well, we replaced a driver in your truck. Now, at the time, I had started reading like self-help books, and this is like 2005. So it's a different job market. Okay. And I'm like, and I had a positive attitude. So I was like, hey, man, like no big deal. Put me in a different truck. He goes, well, it doesn't really work like that. You don't work here anymore. And I was like, what? He's like, well, we thought you were doing that lawn care thing full time. And it's always that thing. And I was like,
that little thing.
Okay. Yeah, that little thing. So I was like, okay. And so, dude, I'll wrap it up with I got busy. I started passing out flyers, walking door to door, canvassing. I did the best I could with what I had to make like that 30 or 40 grand amount that I was making. But man, like the journey from there, It's crazy. I know we'll break it down more today, but that's it. Like super humble beginning. I cut grass as a
Wow.
kid, tried a couple jobs. I was working like Circuit City at one point part-time, if you remember them.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I've done all of it, man. Like sales, restaurants, retail. It's wild, dude. It's wild.
It's so wild. It's a great story. I mean, so one of the interesting things, and I also did not go to college. I kind of chose that trades route, if you will, or just like the job route, and had that same feeling like 21, 22, all my friends are coming back or, posting on social media, they're going places and getting big jobs. And I'm just like, man, I totally feel like I missed out on this college thing. How much of that was part of your determination? I mean, obviously you're a very determined individual, pushing through, getting fired or leaving a job and then really continuing to push through until you ultimately found your entrepreneurial spirit and took that journey. But was there like this, I got to succeed because I didn't go and take the college route and I got to prove myself right? What was kind of going through your head in your early 20s?
Dude,
it's a hard question.
Honestly, my early 20s were very unguided. There was not a lot of direction. In fact, I kind of was like aimless. I didn't have coaches or mentors. Like that's a buzzword today. In fact, I turned 40 in about 4 more months. And so I've had a lot of like introspective thoughts the last like 2 weeks. So it's funny you asked that. My 20s, I'll quantify this in a minute, but my 20s, I really spent a lot of time building up me. My 30s, kind of laying a big foundation. I think my 40s are really where we start to build the skyscraper up. And I'm really bullish on that. But we're talking decades here, just so people have like real timelines.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to be an overnight success doing anything. And I think it kind of gets lost in translation on the social media world today, where everybody just looks like they're winning and killing it. At the time, think about it. I'm 25, 26, 27, making 30, 40 grand a year. Maybe. I mean, really, maybe. Like, really, maybe. I was living at home.
Yeah, because when we take all the expenses into account.
Yes. Dude, I guarantee I was making no money, enough to go to Olive Garden probably and thinking I'm big time, but that was it. But I'm living at home. I have, little bills, little life, little world. Like mind you, like I grew up dirt poor. I didn't know anything. I didn't know anyone. The first time I went to our local mall, I was like 19 or 20 years old. I didn't even know it existed.
Wow.
Like we had the shoes with the holes in them, hand-me-down stuff. We just didn't know. It's not like I was impoverished. We just didn't know what we didn't know.
That was just your standard.
Yeah. And so the crazier even thing than that, you want to talk about inferiority complex, was my younger brother was now graduating out of Michigan State, making 60 grand a year at his first big boy job. And so now I'm like, my peers are passing me. My younger brother's passing me. It was a really tough kind of spot to be in. And at that time, though, I had started reading a lot of self-help books. And a friend of mine was a trainer at a Lifetime. He was in sales, so he was on this huge personal self-development journey. He was about a decade older than me. And we would work out and train. He's like, hey, dude, have you ever read, like, The Magic of Thinking Big? And I'm like, no. And he's like, have you ever read, like, Rich Dad, Poor Dad? And I'm like, I don't even know how to read, And
never thought about reading those books.
No. And I was like reading. I'm like, that's for losers, dude. Like Where the Red Fern Grows. Like who needs that? And I think school feeds you those books to make you despise reading, because all breakthrough comes typically from good reading. That's a whole another story for a whole other time.
Yeah.
But man, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad in like a week, front to back. And I had never read a book in my life. So it's funny when you start putting like the good resources and tools in people's hands when they have a genuine interest in something. It's very crazy what can happen. And so I started reading self-help books. I read about 100 to 200 self-help books in like a 5 or 6 year window, started working on me. And maybe to answer your question in a little bit different way is the catalyst for me to like kind of start this next season of my life wasn't so much anything that I was looking for, because I'm a dude, right? And like dudes we're kind of basic, okay? Like you have some shelter, some food, like a semi-working car. Who really cares? What happened was I started working on me, and I call this my season of hotness. I got that from a friend, And I had a little bit of a glow up in my late 20s, and I attracted a little filly, and her name is Liz. And long story short, oh, sorry about that. Phone was ringing.
All good.
But long story short, we got, we dated, we got engaged, we got married in like a 13 month time frame. We were dating and engaged and married within 2 years. And so I'm now like 28, 29. We had her income together, my income together. We're making like dust and we're living on dog food. We were married for like a year, and I'm like, this isn't working, And so we'll get into that season next. But that was kind of like my catalyst to say, hey, like, my wife was like, hey, like, what about kids and a house and a car that turns off when you pull the key out of the ignition, right? Like, literally, those are like funny jokes that people say, but we literally lived those lives. Like, I had a car where the rear brake caliper was seized, and I didn't have $500 to like get the brake job done and the caliper seized because we were broke. And so we had one car for 3 months at one time, and I'm still making a car payment. Like, just impoverished, bro. And people could get very confusing a little bit more of where we're at today, which isn't much further, and be like, oh, like, you don't know what it's like to struggle, or I'm like, dude, I have more stories than we have time for a podcast, And so long story short, the next season that I know we'll kind of get into a little bit more was I met my wife, and she was really my catalyst for growth, because I've said this before on a podcast, because I lied to her like you've never seen a guy lie or sell a wife, like,
oh,
hey,
dude.
you get with me, honey, like, oh yeah, you'll live the dream, private jets, you'll have baubles, cars, houses, jewelry. 15 months into this thing, she's like, yeah, oh yeah, all of it. She's like, 15 months in, we're eating like dog food, splitting entrees at Applebee's because we're poor, living in a 700 square foot apartment. Here's my best line for the apartment. We thought it was so cool because we could plug in our vacuum in the middle of the room and get all the way to the corner of the living room and the kitchen and all the way to the bedroom. Like, that's how big the whole place was. One power cord, bro. And every year we renew our lease, and they would give us, I'm not even making this up, a can of like white spray paint called Kills. I didn't know what this was, but it kills mold because our bathroom popcorn ceiling in our unit was so moldy. And every year, like clockwork, after we renewed our 6th year in a row, because we were living the dream, I was like, it was just normal. I'm like, oh yeah, thanks for the can of Kills. She's like, oh, 2 cans this time. You've been here for 5 years. You unlocked your bonus rewards. And and I was like excited about it. I'm like, we got 2 cans of Kills. Like, dude, we were so dumb. We just didn't know anything. So yeah, that's where we were at that time.
Man, that is so cool. Thank you for sharing all that. I think it's really important that this type of depth in the story is told, because oftentimes we just kind of like skim over the valleys and we just peak, right? Like, oh, like this happened, and then I bought my first truck, and then I got a client, and then I had 100 clients, and then I'm doing $1 million in revenue. Like we hear these abbreviated stories, but the valleys are so important. Like I can totally relate to what you're saying. I mean, people have heard my story, but I haven't talked too much. Like, I remember this one time we were, I was like 22, and I had crashed my truck. I totaled my truck, and basically It was like, like the insurance paid for the truck, and I had no money left. I mean, it paid the payment off, and I had just enough money to go buy a Ford Ranger. It was a 1997. I got it for $300, and it was not in great shape. And so it's like it would be broken down half the time, and so I'm like trying to find a way to get to work or catch a ride, but. You look back on those moments when just simply getting around, physically moving around in a vehicle was like the hardest thing ever. And then we're here today. So, I wanted to ask too, like, a lot of people have this misconception, I think, especially younger people. Like, I'm 37, I'm catching up to you right now, but we talk, I know you and I both talk to a lot of younger entrepreneurs, 18 to 22, 18 to 25 or whatever. And they're in that like really excited stage, and they want that skyscraper season like to happen next year. So how have you, through this process, stayed disciplined and built the foundation to have what you guys have today, instead of potentially like toppling over because you're trying to grow just for growth's sake. You know, how'd you guys kind of take that going into your 30s and the foundation, the super amazing foundation that you guys have built? How did that come together? Because I think a lot of people just think it's like really easy to scale, and it's
that's a good question, man. So here's the deal: like, if you guys hear me say things or regurgitate things, like, very rarely do I have too many of my own thoughts these days. I've listened and read to a lot of great folks that have come before us in all different industries and all different areas, right? I think the biggest thing is realizing, one, you know, you want to make progress, and it's always going to be you versus you. So let's start there. Don't compare yourself to anybody else, because you don't really get to hear the whole story. You know, maybe somebody else, you know, they were given money, or they were given a business, or they're given a leg up, or I know many of folks, you know, they were born on second base and they hit a double, and then, you know, they pretend that they got a home run. And I'm like, that's actually bullshit, you know? So that's a whole nother story, but like, it's not how it works. And so first off, like, run your own race, because at the end of the day, you don't know what other people are dealing with. Like, you might be further financially behind than somebody else, but that guy might be going through a divorce behind the scenes. And so, like, be very careful of like who you compare yourself to and why and when and how. Let me kind of pivot a little on that and even answer your question a little bit more this way. I think that the height of what you can grow is going to be based on the depth of like how deep you dig your foundation or build your roots. And at the time, I spent a decade, and my wife even and I were talking about this very introspective conversation a couple days ago, because I was like, man, I feel like my 20s were just literally, I had no progress. I had not a single outward thing other than my books that I cherished that are outlined, highlighted, you know, earfold, broken spiral bounds. I mean, literally, I would sleep with my books under my bed. Like, I was a dork. Okay. Like, that's all I had. And
can I like, ask just a super quick question? Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
I'm really interested. When you're reading these books, were you a reader in high school and in school?
Nope. Zero. Okay.
See, I wasn't either, but I've read nonstop since about 24, 25. So like, and I want to come back to this story. I'm really sorry to interrupt, but I'm really just curious. I think this is so interesting. It starts to become this addiction. Why do you think you were so addicted to reading books when in high school and in school you had zero desire?
Oh, here's exactly the great question. Brilliant question. So here's the deal. Your life is going to be determined by the books you read and the people you associate with, right? I heard a guy say that. And so I'm like, okay, well, the books I read for knowledge and the people I associate with. And it's the whole, like, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So I kind of realized two things when I was like 19, 20. I don't know anything and I don't know anyone. So my hunger or discipline or consistency, a couple questions you asked earlier, like, where was that hunger developed? It was due because I came from so far back. I knew nothing and I knew no one. And I said, you know what I need to do then? I need to learn a lot of crap, and I need to start making sure not only do I know people, but people know me.
Yeah.
And so when some of you guys are younger listening in, I had a mission to have enough good things to say and to have done enough work on me so that people were going to be interested in what I had to say and want to be my friend. And I kind of looked at the game a little different, because I started to realize if you want to have people around you and you want to put yourself around people, you need to learn how to be a person of value.
Yeah.
And so I didn't read Rich Dad, Poor Dad so I could regurgitate a bunch of stuff on a podcast to Justin White 15 years later. It was to help myself first understand how personal finances work. And then all along the way, I happened to have some great conversations, and then some things with social media started to transpire. And I realized other people also were struggling with how to handle their personal finances, or how to get out of debt, or get their first loan. And so now I have a lot of stories, and if you know me, I pretty much exclusively just tell stories at this point in my life, because I have done and failed at so many things, and then also read and learned and can relate with so many other stories that I've borrowed from first and secondhand experiences. And so that conversation about, like, where did this hunger come from? Like, you know, dry sponge in a desert getting to find water isn't even practically fair. I mean, we're talking a 1 million X fold of like how important this stuff was to me, because I cared about my mom, I cared about my family, and then I met my wife. And so I started reading all these books because I had to start figuring out Brian Fullerton and start building this foundation underneath me. And I just knew, because my older brother was an architecture major, and he at the time was watching the Dubai Burj Khalifa tower get built. And for anybody who knows, like that thing was like a 2.5, 3 year project, but they spent the first 18 months on the foundation. And then to go 1,000, floors up or whatever it is, or 100 stories up, whatever ridiculous number it is, like it took half the amount of time just to build the foundation, the other half to go up. And think about like so many analogies that you could pull from that illustration. But so many people want to build like a 4-story, 5-story, building or, skyscraper, right? And then it gets wobbly or it falls over. And it's because they never spent time on the foundation. And if you guys are catching along, the foundation is you.
Yes.
And
I was just going to point that out.
Yeah. And it's like, it's one of those deals where you might see like, and you can even talk about parables, right? The parable of the sower. Like some people throw seed on, stony ground and it gets ate by the birds. Some people throw seed on, mud and it grows for a little while, then it gets choked out by the sun. And then other people throw seed on fertile soil, and not only does it root, it grows and it produces a 30, 60, 100-fold return. So like, you're like, oh man, look at this fast guy, fast growth. He grew a business into $1 million in 2 years. And then later, like he has financial or tax problems and he burns himself right out of the industry. Well, that was the weed that grew on mud that got choked out by the sun. And, it's like at the time, look at that fast growth, but he's not here 2 years later or 5 years later or 10 years later, or has a good marriage, has decent health, his kids love and respect him. So again, like be very careful of who you compare yourself to. So for me, my 20s was all laying that foundation, and of course, still laying that foundation. I mean, talking about reading books, I'm on a personal kick right now. I've got like 40 or 50 titles I'm reading, like literally like a book a week right now pace, because I'm ready to level up again. And again, this was this other catalyst, Justin, which we can get into, is remember this or imagine this. So at 20s, I had just grew me, I attracted my wife, and realized like I kind of sold her a bill of goods, and I'm like, holy crap. So we want to talk about like, now I've got all this knowledge and experience, and man, I'm like, holy cow. And then I meet my wife, we get married, and I'm like, I need to actually own it and like grow up. Oh, by the way, like my lawn care business is at this really interesting inflection point. We're about to restart it and double down and like make it something real. And in tandem, I get on social media and YouTube, and there was like no claim to fame, no mega viral video. Like it was 1 sub, 1 view, 2 subs, 2 views. I mean, today you get on TikTok, you make a good post and gets 1 million views. You're like, holy crap. I didn't have a viral video actually break out until about a year ago. Legit. So 9 years deep. Yeah, 9 years deep for my first viral video. Not bad. So either my content sucks or the algorithm guys don't like me. Whatever it is, don't really know, don't really care. But man, we just grinded out first downs. But here's the deal. When I saw that I had lied to my wife, and I think all men are great liars at one point in their life. That's a whole nother story. Yeah, but I lied to my... For sure, bro. Like, that's for sure. So I was like, I got to stop lying to me. I got to stop lying to her. I got to own this thing. And now I have this opportunity to re-up my lawn care business and re-up YouTube, or to do YouTube. I'm like, what is that even? And I was like, okay, like I am going to I'm like the guy that was like 3rd or 4th round, draft pick, and like the goalie gets hurt, then the second goalie gets hurt, then the third goalie gets hurt, and they're like, all right, let's get the 4th goalie. Like he's fresh out of high school, like and like is this guy even gonna do anything? And then all of a sudden, he like wins, continues to win. He becomes like the all-star and rookie of the year, like one of those deals. That's what it feels like sometimes right now. But again, like that rookie had been building himself up to be ready to play when he was ready to get tapped on the shoulder. And so a lot of folks are like, man, you work hard. I'm like, I don't work hard enough. Oh, you're doing great. I'm like, dude, I am very hard on myself, because now that I have these opportunities, I don't want to squander a single thing. And I know we'll talk more about that, but that's where my urgency comes into play. Yeah.
I totally see that too. And I think what you said about the foundation is so important. It's not so much building the foundation of the business, it's building the foundation of ourselves. So we can then be the person we need to be for the business and for our family and for the community that we serve. Now, where you're at today in this mode of just learning and soaking up knowledge and reading a bunch of books, that a lot of people will look from the outside and say, man, he's got the family, you guys are in the middle of snow season. And a lot of people use those, and you have so much other excuses that you could tap into and say, hey, I'm going to skip this week because we had a big blizzard. I'm going to skip this week because, it's the first week of school. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. How do you stay just like so self-accountable to that process of building yourself up? Because it isn't just a 1 week or a 1 month. Like, you've been doing this obviously for decades. What is your system, if you have a system, to keep yourself accountable and on track to your goals?
Well, really, it's very simple. And here's the elephant in the room, and I'll let the cat out of the bag. And anybody who's heard it, you've heard it already before. That's always the fun and exciting part about success, right? It's not any one giant like mindset shift. It's the subtleties and it's the consistencies that pay big dividends. I read a book, The Compound Effect. There's another book, The Slight Edge. We've all heard this. We've all read this. Is just simple actions repeated daily, weekly, monthly, whatever your thing is, that compound over time. Like, that is really what allows the big swings in momentum and exponential growth long term. But the problem is that it doesn't show up until 5 years, 10 years, 20 years later. And so it's just like any game or anything that you're going to do or play. You have to like understand the rules of the game and how the game is played, and just have perspective about like where you're at. And so I read that in my 20s and I said, okay, my 20s, like if I just do a little bit every day for a long time, this book says, and this book is written by a guy who's extremely successful, like I have no reason to doubt him. And he said, if you just do a little bit every day, over time, it'll compound. And I just took it at face value. I was like, okay, like, sure. That means I have to subscribe to the fact that my 20s or my next 5 years are probably not going to be very fruitful. My young 30s, maybe a little bit of progress. My late 30s, maybe a little bit more. My 40s, well, it could start getting pretty good. My late 45s or 50s should be pretty exciting. And 50s and 60s and 70s should be rock star. Okay, so let's talk about real time frames. And I have the liberty and the blessing now to even start to say this. Like, I'm looking at like my life in terms of seasons or decades or quarters, right? Yeah. And I'm like, holy crap, dude, like it's so true. And so as long as you understand that, right? As long as you understand that, like you're going to hopefully allow yourself to be patient with the process. And where people get jammed up, in my opinion, is they call it, switching, right? Or code switching, or switching tracks is a different way to say it, but like switching tracks. So 1 minute you're 10x leverage, 10 rental properties by 35. The next minute, you're Dave Ramsey, get out of debt, and you're paying off your credit cards. The next minute, you're Robert Kiyosaki, I need 5 small homes, or I'm going to have rental properties and grow business. The next minute, you're Susie Orman or the millionaire next door, and you think the key to success is driving a Honda Civic until the wheels fall off and saving with T-bills. And the problem is that what people do is they're just chasing shiny object syndrome, microwave mentality, the urgency instead of the important. And they just switch. They switch. And then there's a reason a book was written called Traction. Keyword great there, book. Traction. Yeah, great book. And people go, well, how do I get this traction in my life? And the book talks about a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year vision. And you are not going to see significant results, right? Until year 3, 5, 10, 20, right? I mean, you guys are experiencing this at K&D. I've been watching from afar. It's been awesome to see the journey and the growth, right? But it's like, I had to realize like that's all I subscribed to. So when I was like, hey, 1 new customer a day in my lawn care business, 1 new soft touch with a prospect on YouTube, it was 1 new podcast or YouTube video a week, and then it was 3 videos a week. And it wasn't like 3 videos a week and then no videos for a month. It was like, okay, my secret power, and this sounds so lame. This is something rarely are they ever going to make a poster on something like this. It's like, Michael Jordan on the poster, and it just says he was consistent. But that sounds so gay. Like there's nothing sexy or grand about that, But it's the truth, dude. Like it was 3 YouTube videos a week, every week for 9 years. It was the podcast that we have, like how you getting the downloads and the views and the tractions. It's been a Monday, Wednesday, Friday show every week for 4.5 going on 5 years, almost 6 years now. And it's not like anything we all don't know. And it's tough. And I've even had a couple phases and seasons of this. It's tough because we do want the big breakthrough. We do want the 1,000-year leap. We do want the big wins. And like, there's an element of like Mark Bradley, he says, there's being a hunter and then being a big game hunter. Like for sure, there's these like force multiplier type scenarios in your life, or, you get a couple good deals or a couple lucky breaks. I do believe in all that. But for the most part, most of us would benefit from just trying to earn a first down every week. Like, stop the Hail Mary passes, add one new account, one new customer, one new team member. Do that every month for 48 months. If you did like compound calculators, it's my favorite like thing to do late night is look at like mortgage debt interest and investment calculators like late night. Anytime you move like 1% or $1, like if you go from averaging like $250 a month at 5% compounded returns to like $300, it's only $50 more per month.
Yeah.
It's not crazy. But if you move like from like 4% interest to 5% interest, well, like that, there's a compounding factor there. So instead of like prospecting one day and like, having one new conversation, have like 3 conversations 3 days a week instead of one conversation 2 times a week. So you can up the volume and up the consistency, but no matter what, pick something that you can stick to for 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
And people like ridicule gym rats. They're like, all they do is live in the gym. Right. Like that's what they do. Like it's their identity, but they're there for an hour to 3 hours a day, every day for probably 3 to 5 years to get their body fat down to 10% and look all chiseled and toned. Obviously like how Justin and I look, and, so I know like this sounds crazy. Like, well, there wasn't this huge giant paradigm shift or like exponential effort index. I had a guy email me like not even 2-3 weeks ago, and he's like, dude, he was just like a follower or a fan on social, and he said he had a question, I answered it back. He had a question, I answered it back, and he goes, how do you do social media and like you have all these connections and all these things? I said, one handshake every single day for 9.5 years will get you there. And there was no response back. I haven't heard back from him since, but it was probably not the answer he was looking for. Yeah.
It's like, where's the hack?
Yeah.
I want the shortcut. Give me the shortcut. And it's like, there's not a shortcut.
That's it. So like, I wish I had something more fun and sexy, and it's probably such a letdown because people are always looking for like the big breakthrough. But again, like, IBM, Watson, sort of IBM, he said, if you want to double your success, double your failure rate. And I think what a lot of people see from a lot of successful people are the wins, but you don't also see like how much people were failing behind the scenes. And I think one of my like sort of claim to fame is like, not publicly, but just something that keeps me going is like, I've tried, failed, and adjusted. And that's a really important thing. Try, fail, adjust, try, fail, adjust, try, fail, succeed. Try, succeed. Like I have tremendously tried to do that in my life. Like if it doesn't work, fix it. If it's not working, pivot. Try it. If it doesn't work, we'll change it or get rid of it. I've succeeded maybe a little bit more than some on YouTube, only because I've failed so much more than anybody on YouTube. But the difference is like, at least we started, at least we tried. And so there's a lot there. There's a lot there to unpackage, but just being consistent, brother. I wish I had a better answer. And if I find it, I will tell you. But unfortunately, the further I continue to dig, and even the higher achievers that I've been blessed to be around, it's unfortunately even more true, which is really exciting.
I completely agree. And there's so many examples of this in my life as well. And I really bought into this concept about 13 years ago. And it's hard to understand at that time when you're just getting going and you want to be the big company, you want to make the big money, and you want to have the big house and all these things. And a lot of that desire, I think, can ultimately hold you back from your full potential, because you're trying to skip from like Hail Mary to Hail Mary or success to success. But the in-between just will crush your momentum and your mindset and create a very like toxic pattern and cycle in your brain, because you're looking for these huge wins instead of just looking for the daily small wins. And I'm reading a book right now. I'm rereading the book. It's called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Kind of a bit of a
I just
classic.
saw that. Yeah. I think I literally just ordered that. Yeah. Is it good?
Dude, I mean, you're going to be, it's going to affirm a lot of what you're talking about. It's this idea that the biggest problem in your life is the direction you need to lean into, is the way you need to head. And when there's a big failure, we just lost last week our second biggest maintenance client, which was a big hit, you know, like a lot of hundreds of thousands of annual recurring revenue, just like gone. And
by the way, I lost my two biggest ones last spring, number 1 and number 2.
Dude, that's really rough.
Yeah. I actually,
go ahead.
not the one
Let's
up,
hear it.
not the one up. I lost it on I lost my biggest one on Thursday, bought my newest Bobcat machine on Friday. So new payment. Then Monday, I lost my second biggest account. So you want to talk about being on suicide watch for a week. And it's all relative, like with your size company at another 0. But man, it is. I was not good. But you know what that did? That humbled the crap out of me. That humbled the crap out of me. I repositioned our sales process. We dug out of that hole in about 8 weeks, and we replaced all that work. It wasn't even honestly our ICP. At the time, the sky was falling. I'm not even kidding. Like at the time, the sky was falling. I had new hires, trying to keep guys busy, but it taught me so much. It was a blessing in disguise, and that's where you really have to be a silver linings person. Like if you want to adopt any one thing in life, like you said, be a silver linings person for sure.
1,000%. That's the total moral of the book, and this idea of obstacle is way is like. And being an entrepreneur, you are going to get punched in the face. You are going to lose fights. You are going to have failures constantly. But what that did for you and what it's doing for us and in the past too, is when you lose a client or you lose a team member or you miss a job that you were really hoping you'd land, you go back and you work on the business. You tweak some things. You get the sales process working better. You're like, all right, we're going to start better like monthly communication with our clients, because most people leave due to lack of communication and multiply that with a lower price. So it's like, all right, we're going to fix that. So every failure we have, and I've tried to do this, I'm a very optimistic person, just, you know, naturally, we change and adapt our system. And so the way you succeed most cases, I believe most businesses, is you have to fail and then change, fail and then learn, fail and then change. So the more failures you have, and you survive, the faster and ultimately larger or more successful I think you'll end up becoming. And so every failure, you just are like, yes, like that's another step forward, even if it feels like 3 steps back. That mindset has really, really helped me deal with running a company with 140 employees and dealing with constant headaches and constant disappointments. So for the entrepreneurs out there, you know, if you're listening to this and you're like frustrated about something or something bad just happened and you lost your number 2 person at your team or your top technician, just know that like that's actually a step closer to where your goals, where you're hoping the goals are going to lead you. Does that resonate, Brian, with you?
Oh, it's my life story, brother. Like,
man,
the positive mental attitude. Like, what's my superpower? I count it all joy, brother. Like, people steal from you, a truck gets smashed, you know, and I'm like, hey, sounds like we just have an opportunity to replace with a new truck, you know, and somebody steals from me. I'm like, well, at least they only stole $5,000, not $25,000. And I'm sure that can make some of my friends or peers or wife, you know, frustrated. But I'm like, hey,
why aren't you more upset?
Yeah, because I'm like, you know, like, what are you gonna do? It's a lesson, you know. And I heard a guy say once, like, you can't climb a smooth mountain. Like, you can't climb a smooth mountain.
Yeah.
You know, like, and we're all trying to avoid and inoculate ourselves, especially as you get older and you do have a couple nickels to rub together. You can pay to inoculate yourself from a lot of discomfort and struggle. And unfortunately, I see a lot of people, I thought, plateau in their 20s or 30s, right? The average person dies at 21. They're just not buried until 65, that whole deal.
Yeah.
Man, I've seen the common thread with a lot of 30 and 40-year-olds too. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, like I make 200 grand a year and I don't have to go in the field, or I don't have to get out of the office, or, I can buy my kids off with trips to Disney and not be a present father. Like, not getting anybody's, grill about anything, but, there's a lot to be said there. I think if you, again, have the mindset that things are going to happen and you're going to get better for it. And think about it. Like, I looked at it as all of an opportunity for me later to be able to help somebody else out. Maybe an employee,
Yeah.
maybe a peer, maybe my kids. So, like, maybe I'm experiencing these scenarios now, not just for me to learn, but maybe to pass down a nugget of wisdom to somebody else later in life. And so, like, how selfish could you be to think that this is happening to you instead of this happening for you, right? Like, that's the real mindset shift. Like, count it all
That
joy,
is.
right? And so I actually saw a reel not too long ago. It said, like, what a blessing it is to be tired about the thing that you built that you said you would build 10 years ago. Like what a blessing to be exhausted from having kids. What a joy. Like, what a blessing to have the challenges you have today in business where you wouldn't even dream of these problems 10 years ago. Like, what a blessing. And so somebody can say, the sky's falling, we lost a giant account. For sure, what it sounds like is you have a new slot that opened up, and somebody better get busy to fill it with a customer that's going to appreciate you and not just tolerate you. And so now K&D has the opportunity to serve another client at a much higher level. And again, like, it happened to you or it happened for you. Like, it's up to you.
That's exactly the mindset you have to adopt if you want to continue to push forward in business. And adding
sure.
on to that, when you get some level of success and things start to become at that next level and you're like, wow, this is awesome. A lot of people do optimize their life to be as comfortable and easy as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, and I've done that. I've been in that stage, and I've realized that is the quickest way to go back to where you started. And if you're not always searching for that next challenge and creating a life that is difficult by intention and by design, I worry that some people may try to optimize and create comfort too early after some level of success. And then ultimately, maybe they are financially successful or what have you, but internally and mentally, they're very sad and they're very unsatisfied and unfulfilled because there's a gap from where you are to where you could be if you kept the consistency up, if you kept just getting first downs every week, like you say.
You're not wrong. I think it's an illusion, right? Like control. It's all of it can be gone tomorrow anyway. One of the things, like, we had a little bit more of blessings in our life the last couple of years, and we've have nicer cars, and we're able to build a custom home, and I bought a luxury massage chair that was a gift to myself. That was actually really, really cool. Whole nother story on that and a whole nother time. Like, these little trinkets. And the funny thing is, though, you know what I'm still willing to do? Like, go on the field, grab a trimmer and help somebody out. Go knock on doors in businesses and go sell and door to door. Drive around when it's 90 degrees out and we're all just baking and sweating our butts off. Like, I've hit a level to where I'm happy and I'm very satiated and content, but I'm still hungry because I know now why I'm flipping the switch to grow, and it's not just self-serving, right? Like,
Yes.
my last decade, I wanted to take care of me, and that's really the story of where we're at today in Brian's Law Maintenance to grow. Is we want to take care of our guys, take care of the team, take care of our customers, serve our community. Needs have been met, but now it's on to wants. But my wants are, I need my guys to be more financially successful. Yeah. And like, that's something that, funny story. There's a great talk by Tony Robbins on YouTube, buried somewhere in the ethos, is success or significance. And it's hard for some folks to realize that they're not the same. And most of the time, most guys get to about where I'm at, going to be 40 here in June, and they're successful, but they haven't done anything but self-serve. And so they have this midlife crisis. And I told my wife, because she was asking, she's like, how you feeling? And I go, solid. Like, wouldn't change a thing. She goes, why? I go, because I've had this unique blessing of having some more success financially, but man, I've been able to have significance as well, because all I freaking do is serve people, at least with what I'm doing, both my team for the actual company and social media. like all I do all day is try to help people with their problems. And so that is an addictive setup, because I get to help see other people with some, mindset shifts, and they have success 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years later, and talk about like success and significance. And I heard Zig Ziglar say, right, if you help enough people get what they want, you automatically get what you want.
Yeah.
And I just think so many people look at the equation so backwards, and it's not an indictment. It's probably not even intentional, but most people are like, well, I want to succeed more, so I'm going to avoid failure. Well, no. Like, you actually have to go through failure to succeed. Like, well, I want more. I want to make more money. No problem. You can try to like grind out making more money, or you can realize like money is just an exchange of value. So go help add value to more people, and like watch the blessings pour in. Well, I want to get more money. Like, I want to get. I'm like, okay, well, try a little bit of a mindset shift. Next time you need $100, instead of trying to figure out what you can do for $100, figure out a way where you can give 10 and watch it come back 10x back to you in a different way. Like, next time you need more, why don't you try giving more? And it's a mindset shift, I'll tell you what, but that's all I've done for like the last 10 or 15 years is outgive, outlove, outserve, outhelp, outsow. And I hate to say it, but it works. So,
It does.
Because again, people are like, no, you got to like work harder. And I'm like, not exclusively. There's a unit of work to be done, no doubt about it. Like, there's a measurable amount of work you need to do. But if hard work alone was the answer, as we've all heard and said, then every, janitor or ditch digger would be a millionaire. So like, you got to couple it with working hard and working smart, adding value to yourself, and then adding value to those around you. And if you want to solve the financial equation, there's more. Like I said, there's success, significance, relationships, health, wealth, all this kind of stuff. Spiritual walk, like there's a lot of quadrants to talk about. Talking a lot about finances today. But if you want to make more money, make sure that you're helping more people. It's very, very simple, but you got to be a person of value first.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people, they, like you're saying, they get so caught up in the just simple desire to make more money, they stop doing all the things that made them successful in the first place.
For sure.
Then you're going backwards. I love Tony Robbins and what he talks about in the same way of like progress is happiness. And I think when you talk about consistency and a reason to be consistent and a reason to compound your efforts is when you are improving yourself week over week and year over year. And I can tell from your story, this has been this journey. It's not this perfect up and to the right curve of you improving yourself. There's ups and downs, but I'm sure if we took the CAGR over the last 20 years, like since you were 19, there's been a significant amount of self-improvement. And that progress for me, and when I talk and listen to other people, that progress really is where so much of the joy is found and then applied to other people of like, oh, I've been where you are. Here's what I did. And you can't help them. People want to say like, hey, can you help me avoid the same mistake you made? I'm like, well, I can help you go through it maybe a little quicker and with more grace. But there are certain things, like there are certain potholes that you must step in to get to where you want to go. And I think a lot of people want to know what the map is. I heard this really interesting thing. It's like the difference between wayfinding and the difference between like a GPS direction of where to go. And a little bit of this you can tie to aviation is like in a car, you get into GPS and like, you know where you're going, you know where you are, and you know the distance in between and how to get there. You know every turn before you even leave your driveway in today's technology world. But in wayfinding, it's like, I kind of know where I'm going and there's a straight line in between. I'm going to try to fly there in the plane, but there's going to be other planes. There's going to be clouds. There's going to be weather. There's going to be mountains. There's going to be things that throw you off, military zones, and you're going to have to find your way through with the help of hopefully air traffic control. And so you need to prepare for the unforeseen. You need to prepare for an extra fuel stop. You need to prepare for maybe not making your destination because the weather at that destination has changed since you took off and you can no longer land there. So you have to just be like comfortable just finding your way towards this destination, maybe getting there that day, maybe not. And the ability to go through that with grace and to be prepared for a very different outcome is something that I think is a great way to prepare life. And if you can find your way into the future, because ultimately we really don't know where we're going. We can say our vision and try to paint the path of the future, but we all know that the future is unwritten and unforeseen. So I think it's like letting go of control a little bit of how you get to where your destination is, and maybe even letting go of control of what that destination is. Maybe that helps your day-to-day joy a little bit. Remove some friction, remove some stress. With that, and I want to be respectful of time here. I just wanted to hit a little bit, if you got the time, is this
you're good.
Okay, cool. This next phase of your life, where you're going, you're talking about your next 10 years, and it's clear you've been thinking about this. Tell us a little bit of what that looks like for you. What's the vision in the future, and what are you excited about?
Well, holy cow, right? So you're kind of hitting on two seasons of my life, the last decade and like the next decade, right? Or hopefully they're not halves, right? hopefully they're quarters. But want to live to about 104, want to live to 104, and my wife wants to be 100. We're both going to go out at the same time. We already got this all planned out. So, but
Love it.
the last decade was a lot of needs and a couple wants. Again, the next decade, mostly just wants. We're definitely in the bonus round. I've been in the bonus round ever since I met my wife, and I'm sure any red-blooded male listening in will agree to that. Okay. At least for me, I batted way out of my league. I don't know what she was thinking. I got her when she was young and dumb. So I'm very grateful for that, but we think about it. Like, there's only so many needs in my life, like housing, transportation, savings account, whatever you want to call it. Right. So we've been able to check some of those boxes lately. Like, if you added $2 million to my account tomorrow, it's not going to really change too much. I feel more comfortable, but you're not going to like really upgrade my F-350 truck or my wife's Expedition. Like, I'm not here to get a Rolls Royce. I don't care about cars like that much. Maybe I get a Lambo, right? I still want to check that box like every other guy.
That'd be fun. I'm with you.
Yeah, I don't have Justin White money yet. I don't have a plane. Okay, like I'm coming. Okay.
My plane's probably cheaper than your F-350 though. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like $100,000.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't know how much planes cost.
It's very affordable. Scary,
I feel like there's flying commercial, and then there's like Grant Cardone private jet. I don't know if there's a middle. I'm not very versed in that. I do envy learning how to be a pilot and all that stuff. And so maybe we'll check that box off in another chapter of our life, because that is a big fun desire that I have. So I love watching your stories when you're flying across the country, and your analogies. I'm like, I think he's talking about flying. You know what I mean? Like, so they are fun, helpful stories. But so the next decade, it's funny. Like, this actually started about 18 months ago when we broke ground on our home, because my wife and I had realized, like, holy cow, like, we've kind of accomplished everything we kind of set out to do. Like, think about that. Like, nicer cars, kids. Yeah. My wife doesn't have to work. We couldn't even afford that at the beginning, and then we figured that out along the way. Built a custom home, which is nice, and many people listening in have done that. If you plan to, don't do it. Call me. I'll talk you out of it. Just kidding. But my wife asked me once, she's like, would you do it again? I'm like, absolutely not. And she's like, oh, I would do another one tomorrow. So that explains a little bit of our... Dude, for sure. If that explains our personality types to a T. So I'm like, you're crazy. So the next decade, we want to grow a bigger business, like I said, and give our guys opportunity. Because a year and a half ago, I said, hey, like, there is only one way to coast. And for the most part, that's downhill. And so I'm like, we got to reset that goal. We were just talking about that 10 minutes ago. So I said, hey, let's grow a $10 million company. I want to, I have a number in my mind for retirement. What I want to, for financial independence. Like, I know my number, and a $10 million company with a decent exit will get me there. I want to give all of our guys the opportunity to go from, they all start on trimmers, mowers, plowing, and I want them to be, supervisors and operations managers and sales positions if they want, and make 50, 80, 100 grand, in their position. Like, that would be awesome. Like, I want to give folks that opportunity. Well, to do that, we have to grow a bigger company like K&D. It's, I know you got a huge mission and vision for where you guys are going, right? Yeah. So that is like, I think it's kind of like two seasons, right? Like, I've really spent the first half of my life worrying about success, and now I get to really spend the second half of my life like building more significance. I've been able to double dip on both, the last 5 or 10 years, but really, like, my wants are just kind of like extra. So I'm like, okay, to get the biggest of things, I have to serve a lot of people, a lot of people, dozens and hundreds of clients, dozens and hundreds of team members. Like I heard somebody say, if you want to make hundreds of thousands, you have to help people make tens of thousands. If you want to make millions, you have to help other people make hundreds of thousands. And if I want to make tens of millions, you are probably employing people at that point that make $1 million a year in your organization. And I was like, oh, it's the whole like help other people get what they want, you get what you want kind of deal. So I'm like, all right, I got to start thinking big. And then I got around some great big dreamers, some of our mutual friends and peers that and coaches, and you get around them and all they do is think big, and then you realize, man, I was a big fish in a small pond, now I'm a small fish in a pretty big pond. And again, I don't think like my story is anything like super wild. In fact, it's probably the most average story. Like I didn't know what I didn't know. And as I continue to get around great big people, I just have this ambition to like do a good job, work hard, and make people proud. And, hopefully the people that I respect me, and hopefully the people that I love me. Like it's not really anything crazy. But that's kind of our next vision for the next 10 years is to grow a bigger company, have a bigger impact. I'll check off a couple of the wants along the way for sure. I do want to get some nice, fun purchases, and I'm scheming and wheeling and dealing behind the scenes to make those numbers work, just like all of you guys. But I think like what I haven't really tracked, Justin, I'll be honest with you, is I know like the next 5-10 years, like what we want to do and where we want to go. But man, I couldn't even imagine about what I could do in my 50s or 60s. And some of our peers and friends that we're getting to hang out with at some of these conferences and events, especially in the landscape industry, most of them are in their 50s and 60s, even 70s.
Yeah.
And a lot of like their grand success has really been in the last 5-10 years, right? And so I can't even imagine, and trust me, I'm a guy that imagines and thinks and visions a lot because when you're broke and poor and you're on a mower 10 hours a day, all you do is get time to think and dream, right? And I've logged my couple tens of thousands of hours on mowers and plow trucks. I'll tell you guys that. If you would have told me, and this is a whole nother story for a whole nother time, but if you would have told me in the last decade I'd accomplish to where I'm at today, two things. One, I would tell you I believed it, which sounds super narcissistic and arrogant, but work with me here. One is I knew I would do it. Two, I also never would have dreamed in my wildest imagination. Right. Like that is one of those crazy things where people ask me like, hey, like, what was it like walking into your home? Is it unbelievable or surreal or crazy? And I go, no, like I envisioned walking into this home like 8 years ago, 7 years ago, 6 years ago. Like we designed it exactly how we thought we would. Like I walked through it the first time, and the day we walked it as a construction home to the day they gave us the keys to turn it over, it was like assumed, like it was automatic. Yeah. And so there's a whole nother story there that gets like people's skin tingling, when I talk about that kind of stuff, because if you don't see it, I'm a big believer that it won't come to pass. Mm-hmm. And I've spent a lot of time working on like the vision and belief and self-limiting beliefs and just thinking, dude. Like when somebody tells me you can or you can't, I'm like I'm going to go prove them wrong kind of guy. And I didn't have, here's the deal. I didn't have anybody really telling me I couldn't. I also didn't have anybody telling me that I could. Yeah. Like that's even worse, like if I can't, I'll prove you wrong.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I think too many people are told all the time what they can do. I think a lot of us work with negative energy a lot better. And if True. I said, Justin, you'll never get that account fixed, and I was just a bully, you'll probably have it fixed in 3 weeks, So, I think some of us we're just wired different. Probably something there that somebody with 3 letters after their name can diagnose, but that's a whole nother story for another time. So two things, like I can't even believe that we're at where we're at today, although I know I did the work to be able to get this far. And I say that truly, like I've worked my fingers to the bone to get this far. But number two, I can't even imagine where we're going to be in a decade from now at the end of my 40s. Because if you look at like the exponential growth over the last decade and maybe what the next decade could look like, I got around Mark Bradley. I think it was our Charlotte conference that we all went to. I think you actually shared at that one, right?
Yeah.
And remember at the beginning, Mark was like having us write down our 10-year plan. And like he came over to my notebook and I wrote some stuff down and it was kind of actually it was blank and I put it in my hand and he came over. He just happened to be swinging by and I was like, hey, like when I'm whispering, I'm like, here's where I think it should be. And he grabbed my pen and he wrote down a number and, you know, some stuff. And I was like, that's what I was like thinking, bro. But that's like a freaking absurd. Like that's absurd. And he goes, has the last decade been absurd? And I go, yeah. And he goes, and he like looks at me and you know Mark Bradley, he just gives you this like confident nod, you know, and he's like, that's your number. And I'm like, okay, you know. And so the only thing worse than that, bro, which sounds fun, is that he goes back on stage and he goes, anybody want to share? And of course, nobody wants to share because it's like in the thick of it. Dude, he points to me. If you remember, he pointed to me.
I do remember this.
Dude, I was freaking out. And he's like, Brian, read yours out loud. I'm like, hell no. like I was like, I don't work for anybody, bro. Not even you. And but when Mark Bradley tells you to share, you share. And so I was like, I want to be worth $100 million and I want to employ, you know, a couple hundred people. And, you know, I want to build this legacy. And it was awesome, dude. It was really fun to share, but man, it made me nervous. It makes me nervous right now talking about it. Because again, dude, like I still struggle with this, just like so many of you guys. Like, dude, I came from the double wide trailer. Like, I'll drive back there. My mom still lives in it, and I'll drive back through that trailer park, you know, once a month. And it's like, dude, I know exactly how I was thinking, and I know this sounds really rough, but like I know how folks here think.
Yeah.
Like I know how the thought process is here. And I know the thought process in my mom's home. It's not an indictment. I love her to death.
Yeah.
But she has a different way of thinking. And my wife and I have a different way of thinking. And so everybody at all different levels, right? Like has different levels of thinking. And that's why they've been able to accomplish or not accomplish with where they're at. And so the next decade, dude, I want to build something big. I've quantified it 100 ways to Sunday. I don't want to bore you guys to death on all that. But we do want to grow a big $10 million regional company and couple different options for an exit. And that is really exciting. But man, like the only thing that gets me more nervous and scary than that is like, what are we going to do in our 50s or 60s? You know, like Justin will probably be picking me up on his PJ, the $100 million PJ by then. And he's going to be like, man, you remember when like a $300,000 account used to scare me and now we're doing like all the football stadiums on the West Coast or something, you know, ridiculous. As you guys have $1 billion valuation company, like think about that stuff, dude. Like I love it when people talk about that, even if we're all lying to ourselves and we only get 1/10 of the way there. What's the whole saying? Like it's better to aim for the stars because at least you'll land on the moon or something. So
exactly.
I love that kind of stuff, man. And people think it's cheesy or hokey. I'm like, dude, you should see my life right now. You want to talk about cheesy and hokey? Holy cow! Like it seems like a whole nother world, brother. It's pretty crazy. So let yourself dream, let yourself go. That's what I would encourage you guys to do on this kind of stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, it's clear that it works, and there's so many great examples of it. And I think when you personally go through this process of creating visions and putting things out there, and then you accomplish those things, especially in comparison to how you grew up, it changes you. And it makes you a believer, not in like, I'm going to sit on the couch and like manifest things and they're going to show up in my life. Like you got to work hard and you got to get out there. By no means is that what we're saying. But when you can envision where you want to be in 10 years and you write that down and then you share that with those that you love and care about, you have this subconscious drive that forces you to become the person you need to be for that to become possible. The identity that you need to become. And Mark Bradley is really, really pushed me in the last just couple months on this topic of, okay, you've got $1 billion vision. What's Justin look like? What's your identity? What type of decision-making do you do? How do you show up? What's your morning routine when you guys are $1 billion? I'm like, oh, well, I'm doing this. He's all like, what's stopping you from doing that today? I'm like, oh,
yeah,
fuck. Like,
oh yeah,
nothing. Like, okay. Yeah.
That's what a great leader does, right? They challenge you to be more than you are and where you intend to be. And the best part, they hold you accountable to it. You know, in fact, one funny thing here, my sister-in-law came over, I think it was like Christmas or whatever. and or Christmas Eve, we were having a party. Actually, it was New Year's. I'm sorry, it was a New Year's party because we had the kids all over. And she was like looking at my office, and I had my dream board up there. And she goes, "Is that the same one you guys had on like the fridge, like at the old apartment, old like two old apartments ago, the one I told you the story about?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "And you're still doing that, huh? Like you put the photos on there, and then like." I go, and they come off. I said, "That's when we accomplished the dream." And she goes, "I've seen that board for like a decade now, and you keep putting things up there and they keep coming off, and you keep, accomplishing them." I go, "So it's a magical board." She goes, "Can, like, when you're done with it, can I have it?" I go, "It's not." Like, and she's funny, and she was being funny, but she's like, I'm like, "It's obviously it's not that board, folks, but it's the vision, right? It's the vision and the commitment." And like you said, like I heard a guy say, like, put your dreams in concrete, but your plans in sand. Like
that's good.
You do have to become a better person along the way. And that's what I was thinking. I'm like, man, I don't want to lose this opportunity with growing my landscape company. I don't want to lose this opportunity with YouTube. I want to prove it to my wife. Like, who do I have to be? There's an old statement, be, do, have. Like everybody wants to have, less people want to do, and even fewer want to be. And I was like, all right, instead of focusing on like results, I'm going to figure out how to be everything we just described, right? Like, who would be the kind of person that has $1 million home, or has paid for vehicles, or can travel around and make friends in an instant because he has a skill set to do so? And again, like, here's the deal. You guys got to understand, like, I came from so far back. I was afraid of my shadow. I couldn't talk to anybody. I couldn't make a point. I couldn't carry on a conversation. I couldn't tell stories. I couldn't, dude, I couldn't smile. I remember reading How to Win Friends and Influencing People, in chapter 1's like, you got to smile or whatever. And I'm like, so I'm looking in the car and I'm like cracking my face. I'm like, dude, you look
so weird.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, you're a solid 4 as it is, man. And like, I would like smile and I'd be a 4.5. I'm like, all right, like we're making progress, and then some folks would say, some of you younger guys listening, well, like, where did you get your attractive wife? I'm like, well, you add $100,000 a year to your income and you get really pretty real quick. You know what I mean? So that's a joke, by the way. But, Bill Gates looks pretty handsome at $50 billion. You know what I'm saying? So
sure does.
So some of you guys, there's a secret there. Get rich. It'll help you a little bit. That's funny right there. But so dude, I don't know what my point was. That made me laugh. But I did want to become the person, like you said, though. And that's something that I'm at right now. Like, that's why I'm reading for the second round. I'm like, okay, who's the kind of person that would be the person that would own a $10 million company, that would be a pillar, in the community, that people could from out of state call when they want to sell out a contract, like we need to be that company. And so I need to be that guy. I like, how do I show up for my wife? I need to be that dude. I need to be the guy with integrity. And how can I be a great dad? Like, what does being a great dad even look like? Like, I want to have a great relationship with my kids. Like, what does all this stuff look like? And I think, unfortunately, we're just blasted all day like atoms, just at a nucleus, man, just blasted all day long with input. And we never find any quiet time to like really quantify things. And it's like, I'm not saying I'm the best at it. I have a lot of work to do and a lot of ways to go, but I have been spending a lot more time the last couple of years trying to meditate, quantify, get out of like the confusion, the gray areas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my wife and I will fight and I'm like, what are we even fighting about? Like, let's quantify this. And you realize, oh, it was like this little stupid thing that I said. And I just need to have like a subtle mindset shift to like respond differently or to act differently. It's like, it's not like you're a bad husband or a bad wife. You just have to like fix one little quirk, like, oh, when you respond, I puff out my chest, I get defensive. Well, don't get defensive. Like, listen, for crying out loud. And so I think we can all get better at that. And again, different seasons of your life, look at different things. Yeah, man, it's exciting. It's an exciting ride. And again, brother, like, excited to be on that same journey with you. I know you're doing big things. All of our peers were doing big things. And it's a fun time for people who are I know you're on the West Coast. You guys get to surf and all that fun stuff. I'm jealous. We're in the Midwest. We don't get anything fun or exciting like that. But I've heard the West Coast guys and I heard the surfer guys say, like, you don't paddle like when the wave's at you. Like, it's already too late. So start paddling as that wave's coming. And that's your 20s, you know, because then they say like success occurs when opportunity and preparedness meet. Well, like, what are you doing to prepare yourself for when the opportunity does come your way, right?
Yeah,
like,
are you waiting for that opportunity and then you're just magically going to be the person you need to be that day? It
doesn't work that way.
Doesn't work that
like,
way. You gotta work.
When I was ready to re-up my business, I knew the next couple of moves to make. I just was a little hesitant to do it. I needed a push out the door, and that was me not wanting to be a liar forever to my wife. When YouTube came across my table, and we can always talk more about that a whole other time because that's a fun journey. It'll be 10 years in about 3 weeks, which is crazy. 250,000 subscribers, a couple 100 million views. Crazy stuff there.
Congrats.
Yeah, like I can't even hardly believe it. But when YouTube came across my view to like actually do something with it, like I was ready, dude. Like I was ready to like try to help people and say stuff. And people are like, oh, you're great on camera. I go, well, first off, I wasn't. Go check out the first 100 videos because there was a skill set to learn. But I did know enough how to talk and how to like communicate and how to make a point. And again, my points back then were very simple, as you can imagine. And that's evolved, and it's been fun to watch that journey as well with so many of you guys. But other people, like they just saw like, oh, it's YouTube, and I'm like, no, like this is like my ticket out of poverty, and I'm going to sow into people, and people can sow into me, and I can take what I learned from YouTube, from everyone, and networking and these events like yourself and Leanscaper and all this stuff, and then like apply it in my business. Like I'm like, dude, this is like Eminem, bro. I'm from Detroit, right? Like this is one of those opportunities, like the one shot that I got, like don't blow it, right? And other people are like, oh, I went to a Leanscaper event, or yeah, I know of Mark, like he's a cool dude. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
I'm like, how are you not all it? Like, yeah, I think it's different perspectives and different ideas.
Well, here's the last thing I'll probably say, because I don't want to take your whole day too. I know you got a much bigger company to worry about than mine. But the last thing I'll say, guys, like I heard this from a guy, and again, I just live by quotes. I apologize. I'm a quote guy. I love quotes. But he said, some people treat a crumb like a feast, and some people treat a feast like a crumb. And when you come from like that far back, dude, every crumb is like a feast. Yeah. And like you got these people that just like, oh, we're doing like, $3 million a year, and like I made 300 grand last year in profit. Like you're a big deal. And like that is a good business. But my gosh, man, like sit at the feet of some of these great folks out there and treat crumbs like a feast. And too many people are out there just treating feast like a crumb. Like they're just, of course there's going to be a K&D podcast. Of course there's going to be, this other thing going on. Of course there's another event. Oh, I didn't get to this Leanscaper event. I'll get the next one. I'm like, Mark Bradley's going to be there. He's worth $1 billion. Like he ain't showing up into your neck of the woods going to your local trade show, bro. It don't work like that. No. And people are like, well, why don't they put it on the moon? The event would be closer. Well, listen, dude, I'm sorry that Arizona had like the shittiest flights ever, unless you're flying private like some of us, You know what I mean? But anyway, but I said, like, what are you bitching about, dude? Like, get your ass to Arizona. Oh, I'll get the next one. Well, what they're sharing in Arizona or in where we're going next?
In Florida.
Florida, yeah. What they're sharing in Florida is not going to be what they're sharing in Arizona. Like, it's not like, oh, I'll see if I can make it. You'll see if you can get around a billionaire. Okay. I guess we just have a different perspective of what we're trying to accomplish here and a different timeline. I told my wife I would do big things, but if yours doesn't mind you being at the same income level for another year, let's go ask her if she's cool with that. And people are like, well, how do you get your wife to say yes? And she never holds you back. I go, because she gets the upside. Because I'm a better human being. Yeah.
Because I deliver. I don't go out to an event and just party the whole time and come back and like, it was fun. No, it's like
work.
Yeah, there's this thing that happens, which is called execution. And where else is someone like Mark Bradley with his experience, knowledge, and care, and it's his desire and care to help. He is out in the field, like he is there at the after dinner mixer. He is in the bar. He is at the hotel lobby till 1, 2, 3, as late as he needs to be to help whoever he's talking to. I mean, I have personally talked to him till 3 a.m. at certain places. And it's not like we're just shooting the shit about something. We are going so deep. I'm like, this is intense. I need to go to sleep. I need to wake up early. And then you see him at 7 a.m. and it looks like he slept 10 hours. Like, The guy's an absolute machine. And if you're willing to put yourself out there, you will get so much out of these events. So a little plug for Leanscaper, obviously, and it's not too late. March 9th and 10th in Cape Coral, Florida. Awesome place. So
yeah, it's gonna be good. No, this is fun, man. It's I love they say like you can put one person can put 100 to flight, two can put 10,000 to flight, and I even said this at our recent team meeting. I said, look, guys, I'm not here to drag 100 people with us. I said I need one or two runners, and I can build a $10 million company.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, I'm not here to drag people to the finish line. Like, I want to run with some purebreds, not hang out with a bunch of donkeys, and everybody kind of bowed up. Like, dude, like they want to win. We want to win around here, and that's what it feels like when I get around guys like Mark that we're talking about, and some other great folks that we all know, folks like Justin in that echelon. Like, you got to make the time, you got to make the investment into them, into you. And again, like, don't look for that quick fix, man. It's going to be a process. And I wish I had, look, I truly wish, like, the first day that they have Neuralink come out and I can learn from, like, Elon Musk, I will be the first subscriber. I will tell you. Like, I'm not going to bullshit you. Like, I'll pay 10 grand tomorrow for Neuralink, okay? Like, let's go. Unfortunately, it doesn't exist, man. It's not the Matrix, okay? Like, I can't learn Kung Fu.
We're not there.
We're not there. But as soon as it does, I'm learning how to fly airplanes from Justin's brain for $10,000, okay? Like, I will data transfer, good to go. Okay, until then, sorry, you got to read books, listen to audio programs, buy training courses, go to conferences, and go fail and cut your teeth. Like, that's just how it works, bro. But, like, the minute it's available, I'm right there with you. I'll take the shortcut just like you guys. But the shortcut right now is, it's going to take 20 years. Sorry. Like, I hate to burst anybody's bubble. How's that for a send off? But man, like, well, go ahead.
I completely agree. And what I'll add to that, to just give it like, maybe like to take a bite out of the elephant, is like, you can only control the present. And instead of thinking about, okay, this is my 20-year plan, because it could be overwhelming, work on that. But also think of, like, over the next 24 hours, like, how can you be a better leader, a better father, a better mother, a better person, that person you want to become, or the vision that you have? Like, what if you did like a 24-hour experiment? Like, tomorrow morning you woke up a little earlier, you hit the gym because you've been putting that off for weeks, and you really, really want to make that your morning routine. Like, what if you lived, quote unquote, a perfect 24 hours, and then journaled after that and said, here's how I feel? Like, anyone listening, do you have 24 hours to like test that out and experiment? And if it works, like, maybe do it the next day, and then the next day, and there you go.
I did that out of How to Influence People, the Smile chapter. It was like, go around and smile at people the whole next day. I'm dog dead serious, bro. I went around smiling like a I won't say the hard R, but like a crazy person, bro. Like, I'll say that on my show. But I walked around smiling at people. I'm like, hi, how you doing? They're like, that guy's a psychopath. I'm like, the book tells me to smile at everybody, dude. And then the next thing, it's like the most impressive word in the language, English language, is their name. So I'd smile and be like, hi, Justin. Nice to meet you, Justin. How are you, Justin? Like, exactly what we all shouldn't be doing, okay? Like, but I took it literal. I was like, hi, Justin. Nice to meet you, Justin. Good to meet you, Justin. What do you do for work, Justin? And the guy's like, that guy is a psychopath. But, like, I did this stuff, bro. Like, I literally was at the car, in the red light, and it's like, you should read affirmations. And I'm like, my name is Brian. I have a $1 million landscaping company. People love me everywhere I go. I have the wisdom of both of God and man. Everything I do that I touch turns to gold. I give like nobody else. I receive like nobody else. Like, I would say stuff like this. My gold card. My wife and I literally are going to redo our gold cards for our kids. We just were texting about that yesterday, because our gold cards are we've outgrown them again. And like, literally, awesome. We literally do this stuff. And if you want to talk about like the power of the spoken word, the power of belief, the power of goal setting, the power of consistency, the power of positive thinking, like, dude, the only thing crazier than studying it is crazier when it shows up in your life and it works. And that's the truth, bro. Like, it's working for me. It's working for friends of mine. It's exciting, brother. It's exciting. So yeah, I don't want to go in circles, dude. It's so fun, like, talking about this stuff. because it's foundational, right? Everybody's like, oh, look at the new trucks and the new loaders and the new skid steers and the new mowers. Like, yeah, that's all like a derivative though of what the business is doing and who the leader is, you know? And so, yeah, no, this has been fun, man. Like I love this stuff and I eat it up, and we would probably talk for another 2 hours knowing both of us. So,
oh, we could go so deep into this. And I think this is what I really love about the podcast, man, is like, and I'd encourage everyone out there, if you are wanting to start a YouTube channel, podcast, do something, just maybe start to be a creator and a consumer instead of just a consumer. Because Brian, what you do, what I do here on our podcasts, like this today, you coming onto this show, I'll be honest, a little vulnerable. Like this morning, I was definitely having a little funk. Like I went skiing on Thursday and Friday last week. So I was like 4 days kind of in the zone. And I'm like, man, I got to get back on the podcast, got to get back to work Monday morning, dragging a little bit. And I feel like 10X what I felt all weekend on the mountain after this conversation. Awesome. So thank you for the reminder, and what you shared today. You know, I can almost guarantee it'll change at least one person's life if they put it into action, and hopefully a lot more. So for people who haven't been able to follow you yet, how and where can we follow you on social media and in other places?
Yeah. And by the way, I was watching your stories the other day because I saw you flying and I saw you snowboarding. I'm like, this guy's living like the 1%, man. Like I don't even own a snowboard. You know what I mean? Like, it's always funny how we compare ourselves. So I saw your stories. I was like, this guy's awesome. Thank you for the kind words, by the way. And just so everybody's super clear, if you haven't figured it out already, I am not a finished product. I am literally in the middle. Everything I've told you, like I've learned it about 5 minutes ago or 5 years ago. Okay. So like, there's not a lot of original thoughts out here. I'm figuring this all out as we go. It's been fun to be in that progression. I loved how you talked about like the success is a journey, not a destination, right? That whole cliche. It's true, man. Like the middle is actually a lot of fun. Now, I will say this, like getting to the finish line on a couple of different things is also really cool too. Like don't just struggle forever. Like finally have some breakthrough, for crying out loud. Like it is nice making cash. It is nice making money. It is nice having great things and great relationships. Okay. So don't find glory in the struggle either, because there's too many other people that glorify the struggle exclusively. And I can't stand that either, you know, because a lot of them are just victims. And I'm like, hey, dude, like you actually have to like make progress, or your life is the best part of any like great movie is that there's always like kind of like a final, you know, part where somebody gets the knockout, somebody gets the touchdown, somebody gets the basket. Like you need to win. Like you actually do need to finish the story. So just wanted to make sure we like didn't leave that loop open. And that's why I have the motivation to go hit my last couple of big wins, at least in this business, over the next decade. So all that being said, thank you, Justin, for all the kind words, the encouragement, the friendship, like right back at you, man. It's awesome getting to see buddies and friends, you know, at these different events. And that's the fun part about making friends on social media, as weird as it is today. It's pretty normal now. A decade ago, tell my mom, hey, I'm hanging out with some friends out of state that I met on the internet. She'd be like, do you need to like have police with you? Like, no, they're cool safe? People. Yeah. So it's just a different world that we're all living in. But yeah, all my content, you can find it. Brian's Law Maintenance on YouTube, Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. We have a live event in November called Entrepreneur Academy. It's a conference for a lot of guys that have a business between like 0 to 2 million, a little bit more of the starter crowd and young in business phase. What else do we do? I'm at a lot of conferences and events, or Equip Expo in our green industry. So if you happen to see me like ever running around at a conference or an event or a booth, please come up and say, hey, like don't do like the awkward like eye contact. Like I think that's that guy. Like it is me. Come say, hey, it'll make my day, because I'm usually like the quiet introvert that doesn't want to go see you. Believe it or not, my personality is the exact opposite of everything we talked about today. I'm an introvert, very quiet. Hey, you don't bother me, I don't bother you kind of guy. Believe it or not. Again, 15 years ago, that was me. And I said, well, I need to know how to talk to people and be known. So I need to get better at talking and making friends. And so I put myself out there, but this is not my natural element, if you will. But if you see me at any conference or event, please come up and say, hey, like, I love to meet you as much as you hopefully would like to meet me. So please say, hey, anytime and anywhere you're at. But yeah, that's all I really got, man. It's been fun. This is a great conversation. I love this kind of stuff. I think those mindset shifts are really what help people make the big gains in life.
Absolutely.
And I can't thank you enough for the time, man. It's been awesome being able to share a little bit more of our story.
Man, well, thanks for everything. You were super vulnerable, shared everything today, and it was a great conversation. So we'll wrap it there, folks. Go check out Brian Fullerton on all the places, all the spots, and I promise you, you will not be disappointed. His social media, his stories will keep you entertained, if nothing else. So appreciate everything you're putting out there, brother. All right.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Thanks for tuning in to Trades Talk, where the next generation of disruptors comes to raise the bar. If you got value from today's episode, share it with someone in the trades who's ready to level up. For more tools, insights, and community, follow host Justin White and join the movement at jwhitegroup.com.